All right, well, we will go ahead and get started. Welcome to our Missouri Open Door Workshop for May. Today's topic is going to be AT for communication with law enforcement and first responders. My name is Angelina Alpert, and I am a research assistant at the University of Missouri, Kansas City Institute for Human Development. And we have a guest speaker, Jessica Smith, today, and she is going to talk a little bit about communication with law enforcement and first responders, but also just communication in AAC in general, as well as some other AT. So we're going to do a quick overview of the Missouri No Wrong Door. Got the wrong slide there. Using the Charting the Life course STAR for communication or for safety and security, and learning new ideas and strategies for communication. So for anyone unfamiliar with No Wrong Door, the goal of No Wrong Door is to transform the way people access services in the community. So it's to support individuals and caregivers to make decisions on complete and accurate information about their options for anyone seeking long-term services and supports, regardless of age, income, or disability. So we have a lot of partners on this grant, one of which is Missouri Assistive Technology, who we partner with on a lot of initiatives. But this Missouri Open Door Tech Series is one of the ones that has been going on for almost 3 years now. So the goal of this series is opening doors to integrated supports. So as you can see here, this is our integrated support star. And the goal of the star is to ensure that a person is focusing on services and supports in all of these areas. We've got personal strengths and assets, relationships, eligibility specific supports, which are needs-based services, whether that's on age, geography, income level, employment status, specific diagnosis. We have a Missouri Open Door series on those as well, which is our benefit series. Then we also have community-based, which are things in the community that anybody would have access to, such as businesses, parks, schools, groups, or membership organizations. And then technology, which is personal technology, assistive, adaptive, environmental technology. And that's what this series focuses on. So for integrating services and support systems, the idea of that star, like I said, is to make sure that you're using all different types of services and supports. Sometimes when a person uses specifically only eligibility specific services, it can seclude them from the family and community that they want to be a part of. So if you're unfamiliar with Charting the Life course, it is a framework and set of tools to help you think differently about your vision for a good life, setting high expectations, and integrating multiple types of supports. And the idea is that it helps to organize your ideas, visions, and goals, as well as problem solve, navigate, and advocate for supports. So today I'm going to go over the CTLC domain taxonomy really briefly. If you haven't seen this before, this is how we break down our life domains. There's daily life and employment, community living, social and spirituality, healthy living, advocacy and engagement, and safety and security. We just came out with new icons for subdomains and fixed up these topics a little bit within here. And the topic today falls under safety and security. So I just wanted to go through that really quickly. So safety and security is personal safety, public safety, as well as legal and financial safety. So some of what we're going to be talking about today falls in this public safety area, talking about law enforcement and first responders. So before I pass it over to Jessica, I'm going to go over a really quick example of an integrated support star for safety and security options. So personal strengths and assets would be things such as knowing addresses, phone numbers, and other contacts, knowing how to appropriately use 911, reciprocal knowledge with first responders, carrying identification or specific information, the home being modified for safety, and security and alarm systems. Relationships can be anybody, parents, siblings, grandparents, friends, neighbors. Eligibility specific things are going to be supported decision making, able accounts, special needs trusts, community-based, neighborhood watch, the local police department, and online banking. And then some technology ideas would be automatic bill payments and direct deposits, personal safety devices, remote monitoring, apps, and AAC devices and communication boards. And with that, I am going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen and let Jessica take over.
Hi, I'm Jessica Smith. I'm the one that you're probably getting excited to see this presentation about. I've recently just started doing presentations, so if it's a little shaky, you know why. So, this is my presentation, how assistive technology and AAC has changed me. I hope you enjoy this presentation, and at the end of this slides, I will answer any questions. So, probably just to ignore these. Well, I don't think I ever updated these notes, but it's basically what it's it's the same content. It just has a different name. And I'll start with my news story back in January of 2023. In this video, Becca Hendrickson from 6ABC interviews with me about my communication boards, and I hope you enjoy this video.
So Jessica is coming to us from Pennsylvania. For those of you unfamiliar, Jessica and I have worked together on a few different projects. So that's how she got here.
He's someone with firsthand knowledge about a condition that can make communication more than just a challenge. But faced with Asperger's as a hurdle, Jessica Smith came up with a way to help so many others overcome it. And what she created could well save a lot of lives. Becca Hendrickson now with tonight's Hometown Hero.
They would point to the symbols
at this Upper Chichester Township firehouse.
if they were nonverbal.
Jessica Smith is showing her EMS dad.
That's really good.
An idea she thinks could help every first responder.
They aren't trained well enough most of the time to deal with people with disabilities, and I wanted to make these boards to start a change.
These are some of her communications boards.
They have pictures and easy phrases.
Like, when is your birthday? Or scared. It's based on a board making program the 19-year-old has used her whole life.
I care because I personally have autism, and I've had some instances with the police. None of them were really too bad.
Still,
Pain scale on it
she thought the interactions could have gone better
for people that may have sensory issues.
So she got to work.
She saw a need. She saw a need that was out there, and she had an interest in helping people.
She's worked with police departments across Delaware County to tailor communications boards to their needs, and now the idea is really gaining steam.
I sent boards to Richland County, South Carolina, and I've also sent boards to Nye County, Nevada.
It looks like one of the things you've learned from making all these boards is that you can adapt them to different jobs in different situations. Like you made one for my job.
Yeah.
Can you explain to me what you put on here?
You point and the person would point back to like what they were saying.
As Jessica teaches these boards to anyone who will listen.
Ever since I've started doing this, I've been getting better practice with social skills.
She's building a community where we can all be a little more understanding.
The officer would point back to communicate.
In Upper Chichester, Becca Hendrickson, Channel 6, Action News. That was my news story. And it was a big hit with that news story because I was in high school last year when that came out. And all my teachers were excited to see it. I was pretty much the talk of the town for that like week or two afterwards. So a brief introduction. My name is Jessica Smith. I am a class of 2023 high school graduate. I live in Pennsylvania near Philadelphia. I have Asperger's, which means I have high-functioning autism. I also have mental health issues, but my medications have been helping. I have not let these issues hold me back from doing my awesome work.
and I make assistive technology and communication boards. I've gained lots of interest in my communication boards for first responders, and I was even on the news for that project, as you just saw. I will talk later about this later, but I hope the video gave you an idea of what I do. During this presentation with me, you will explore the role of AAC in emergencies with people with disabilities, gain a better understanding of the life experience someone has with autism, and learn strategies to help first responders understand people with disabilities. I want to share a little bit about my childhood to get you to know my story a little better. My childhood was normal until I reached kindergarten. That's when I was provided with an IEP or individualized education program. When I reached second grade, I was tested and diagnosed with Asperger's. It was very hard during that time with my parents getting divorced. My diagnosis was very stressful for my parents. It caused them to fight and eventually caused them to get divorced. When I was in the second grade, my biggest challenge was accepting my parents' separation. It was about that time that my behavior started. It was very hard for me in school. Around that time, I started to meet with a therapist, and I met with my therapist for about 2 years. Once my therapy stopped, things went back to being not so good, and I started acting out in fits of rage that would usually end with me in a lot of arguing with my parents. I had trouble adjusting to living in two households. When I was in the 4th grade, I started wraparound services with Elwyn. Wraparound services are for the family in the education setting as well as in the home. Elwyn's after-school program is one component of the wraparound services that help me gain skills for social situations. In the spring of 4th grade, I started attending the after-school program. They helped me learn social skills along with other people who had autism. It was an awesome experience for me, but when I started, there was a little bit of trouble. But once I made friends, I fit in just fine. I also learned more about how to help people with disabilities by watching the staff. I remember seeing people use visual supports to help their behavior issues, and seeing my peers use communication devices and other supports that sparked my interest so much. If they only knew what I was doing today, they would probably be so impressed. When I reached the end of middle school, my behavior issues got worse again. I aged out of Elwyn services, and what made it worse was my dad got remarried to someone who was really mean to me and did not understand me. The behavior issues continued into high school. When I received an assignment, I got lots of anxiety and I would get extremely angry. I would kick chairs and refuse to do my work. This was when I got introduced to one of my favorite teachers. She was good at helping me understand my challenges and find ways to help me. She helped until I reached 11th grade, and that's when I was needed to be put on medication, and my behaviors were way too severe for school. That's when I needed to go to a special school because of my depression and anxiety. Eventually, I had to go to the hospital because of how bad my behaviors got. Up till 2 years ago, I was in and out of hospitals, and I almost had to go to residential until the doctors found a good mix of medication for me. It caused my mood to get way better, and I started to work on my passion project a whole lot more. Once I felt better, I started to go to more conferences and attend training sessions. I eventually partnered with Toby Dynavox and Boardmaker to work on projects for them for people who had disabilities and people who were nonverbal. Today I work with tons of companies, and I was recently on a podcast with Star Autism Support to talk about my communication boards and switch adapting. Switch adapting works by wiring the toys to make it so you can plug them into a switch. The toys will be powered on by the press of the switch. I realized there was a need for my communication boards in my community, so I started to make communication boards for first responders. I started this project because I was afraid of the police, and I had somewhat okay experience with the police during my mental health problems, but I wanted to make them better for others. The officers use communication boards to talk with people who may not speak or someone who may be too afraid to communicate. They will point to the symbols on the board, and a person will do the same to communicate back to the officer. If you would like communication boards, feel free to email me or talk to me at the end of the session. Here are some examples of the police communication board I made for first responders. This is my third version of the police communication board. I have made a new board every time I got in a new symbol software. This board was made in BoardMaker for people who are nonverbal and for people who may be too afraid to talk. If somebody was afraid, they could point to the scared symbol on the board to communicate that. Also, there were symbols on the board for people who have sensory issues. An example of someone who may have sensory issues is somebody with autism. That person could select too loud or too bright, or if the person wants to touch something, they can say touch or don't touch. Also, someone with autism could say headphones, or they could use the board to ask for a break. Someone who uses a high-tech board, a high-tech device can point to the communication device talker button to let the first responder know that they have a high-tech device and they need to use it to communicate. Something I would like to add to the board in the future is an option for someone who is nonverbal to ask for their adapted switch, like a Big Mac or step-by-step, if they happen to have it with them. Another example is if they have a small eye gaze board also. I would like to add letters and numbers to the board in the future if I can find space for them on the board. Finally, on this page, I wanted to show the other recent boards I made for Thanksgiving. It was made in Symbol 6 Prime and printed out on 2 pieces of paper to make it the size of a placemat. This is for people to communicate what they want at Thanksgiving dinner, and some examples of the things on the board are foods such as turkey and mashed potatoes. And the words to communicate how much food somebody might like more or unfinished, so somebody might need it. They can also use the board to ask for help. I hope you enjoyed my boards, and if you ever want a custom board, please reach out to me. I first started my first responder project with my dad, who is an EMT. I made communication boards for him first, and he put them on the ambulance. From there, my work expanded to police officers, and soon local police departments had my boards. I set up meetings with them to show them how to use the boards, and I also tried to get pictures from every police department that got my boards. They agreed to put the boards in their police cars for easy access. When I made the boards, I usually make an equal amount of boards for their patrol cars. I have communication boards in over 300 police cars around the U.S. For example, the Richland County Sheriff's Office in South Carolina and Pasco County, Florida. My goal is to have all police and sheriff's departments in the U.S. to have my boards, and for all police departments to have training for people with disabilities. Oh, and also, I would love one day to work with Alex Mann. He goes around to all the police departments in Pennsylvania and trains them on autism. And in August of 2022, I started to have projects made to the BoardMaker Idea Book. The BoardMaker Idea Book is a PDF where activities made by teachers and therapists using BoardMaker can add up for others to use. BoardMaker is a software that teachers and therapists can use for teaching and make communication boards for people with disabilities. It has been a great experience for me to show other teachers and therapists what I made. In the Board Maker Idea book, you can create awesome resources to show around the world for people who work in the disability field. Also, if you get something accepted in the idea book, you can get some swag like a playground sign or a PCS scarf, picture communication symbols. Here are the Board Maker projects I made for last year. The first one is a games fortune teller, and if somebody has trouble choosing a game, they can use it to help them choose a game. Also on this page is a Who Do You Ask for Help activity to help kids and young adults figure out who they need to call 911 and who they need to ask for example, fire, police, or EMS. To access this resource and other ideas from the idea book, you will need a subscription or trial to BoardMaker 7, but I have to mention it is free to open the PDF and download it. I have included the QR code to scan, and it will take you to Go BoardMaker website where you can download the current idea book and ones from the past. If you are interested in learning about BoardMaker or any other of the projects I make, obviously please reach out to me. Here are some of my favorite projects that I have created. And I have scared cats running around me right now because I just don't know what's going on. So it's kind of making me laugh if I start giggling. Here are some of the projects of my favorite AT projects that I have created. The first one is a spinning cord board that was originally made by Mary Catherine Daly, or AAC for All on Instagram. She made this for her preschool class to give them a way to play and learn with core words to help them communicate. 2 summers ago, me and my dad made one using pool noodles and PVC pipe. There were lots of cool assistive technology tools you can use to make with PVC. The symbols from BoardMaker's core board, which is a very useful communication board for therapists and teachers to use. It has been very fun teaching my parents about assistive technology and making these projects. It is a great way that they are learning about it and supporting me in my endeavors. During the last school year in 2022-2023, when my assistive technology sparked my interest, I started taking what I learned and making my projects in school. I brought my adapted switches and my 3D printed assistive technology into school. My teachers got very interested in what I did, and they even let me work on my projects in school. For example, I worked on BoardMaker projects and videos that I needed to make for AT champions during the school day. Eventually, I made lessons for my teachers, and when I didn't totally understand what we were learning, I made a BoardMaker lesson for the whole class to participate in. My teacher got super interested about this and counted these lessons as my quiz. This helped me succeed more in school. When I joined the N2Y Social Squad, I got access to special education teacher websites. I would send lessons from Unique Learning System and News to You to my teacher, and we would teach them to the class with my guidance. We took the picture to the left side of the slide when I first taught the lessons together. Taking that picture was probably one of my favorite school memories from school because they were giving us lots of trouble taking the pictures and it was pure chaos to get it. No faces were in any of the pictures, and also when I was in school, I made good friends with 2 of the service dogs to the picture on the right. The teachers helped and the pups helped make it for my senior year, and I have a special part in my heart for helping me. The bigger dog that looks like a German Shepherd is Harry, and the smaller dog with the blue vest is Frankie. And they used to love me, and we would go walking around the school during the day, and I'd have too many crazy stories to share about them. In November of 2022, I started working with TechAL on their projects. TechAL is the State Assistive Technology Program in PA. I originally started in October of 2022 when I joined the state network meeting, but then I qualified to join their AT Champions program. We learned about assistive technology, including fabrication and disability rights. I had a lot of fun with that program, and I took what I learned into my school and started making videos and teaching my teachers about assistive technology. I continue with the network meetings to this day, and it's been a lot of fun working with TechAL on my projects. Recently, I went to their wheelchair repair workshop, as shown on the right side of the slide. Me and my dad really enjoyed learning about repairing wheelchairs, and even have kits that we can use if we'd ever need to fix one. During my last year at my school, we participated and volunteered at a senior center. When we were done, our class walked up the street to Game on State, a time-played arcade where you can pay at the counter and you can play all you want till your time is done. We enjoyed playing the games and chilling in the store. The arcade hires people with disabilities to learn job skills and work in an inclusive space, complete with a wheelchair lift to help disabled people get to the back of the store. There is also a quiet area towards the back of the arcade where the lights are dim and it is quieter for people who have sensory issues. After the class came back one more time in the spring, I finally got to meet the owners. We met again in June of 2023, and afterwards we planned the first sensory-friendly night at Game on State. The sensory-friendly night is for people on the autism spectrum so they can enjoy the arcade with dim lights, lower volume, and quieter areas for people who need a calming space. During the month of July, I got a call from Amy, the owner of Game on State, asking me to come to the store and meet some workers from Easter Seals. They had a program called ES Gaming, and ES Gaming brings together young adults with disabilities who love gaming. In July, they had their ES Gaming night at Game on State. I was able to get the Xbox adapted controller from TechAL's lending library, and we had fun with some of the workers from Game on State when they got excited to play with the Xbox and learn how to use the adapted controller, seen on the middle of the slide, and we hope to get more people in the future. Jessica's Communication Services is my cell phone business. I go to a lot of events around the Delaware County area. This year I got to meet Jamil Owens, who works with Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. He works with the Center of Autism Research, and we have become good friends. He has invited me to many events, including the Autism Town Hall and during Autism Acceptance Month. And I was later asked to give a presentation at the Autism Playdate in August. I also set up a booth with my dad. After that event, I was asked to have an interview on their podcast with Star Autism Support called the Autism Annex. It was recently released anywhere where you can get your podcasts. We hope to go to more events in the future, and please let me know if there's any events that you would like to see me at. I would like to end my presentation by sharing some of my favorite work featured on my social media page. This is my Instagram page, and here is where I talk about and share my resources with therapists and other assistive technology friends. This is also where I learn more about AT and AAC. Now I want to show some of the things I have made that are really popular and interesting on my Instagram.
So, hey, Jessica, why don't you tell me a little bit about this post here that I'm looking at on your screen?
So this post was when I was at the Bricks and Minis Fig store grand opening in September in New Jersey. And they had two Brickmasters from the Lego Masters TV show. They won season 1. They were there, and this is the first topic I want to talk about. It is me giving my communication boards to the owners of the store, and I got to meet with them, the 2 Lego Masters, and it was actually kind of fun talking to them about AT, and they were very, very impressed with the communication board. And I actually went back to the Lego store a couple weeks ago, and they still had my board up, and it was very nice. All right, next one.
Wow, this one looks really interesting. Tell me what's going on here.
So in this post, I've been waiting for a while wanting to get a blow up to use with my power link. That's the machine that I plugged the switch into, and it makes the blow up work. And I actually found the same blow up that speech therapist Mary Catherine Daly used, and I was surprised that I actually found that exact one. It was on clearance. So we tested it out. We made a bucket with some decorations around it. And at our town's trunk or treat, we put it up, and all the little kids loved pressing the button and getting to watch the toy blow up. And I actually set the power link to deflate after 1 minute so every kid could blow it up. It was actually a lot of fun. It was it's probably my first blow up I ever used on it. So it
looks really fun.
Yeah.
Can you play it again so I can see it a little bit more?
So you press the switch and it would make it blow up. And we put it in the milk crate so it would stay put together more, so it would look better going up and down.
Yeah, it makes sense.
All right, you can end.
Wow, there's some cool AAC and toy stuff going on here. Tell me about this one.
So this was probably one of my favorite things to make with the switches. This is another one that I asked Mary Catherine Daly for a little bit of help with deciding what words I wanted to use for the switches. So I laminated some symbols and duct taped them onto my cardboard switches I make. And I used the duct tape to match the colors, like if you were looking on a board maker core board. So the first one I did, I wish I could reset that. The first one I did was a train that I made it so it said go. You would press down on the switch and it would make the train go. Then the next one I made was the fan, where you could press the button and it would go for the settings or it would stop the fan. Then the third one I did was I see the lava lamp light. So when you would press down on the switch, it would make the lamp go. Then the next one is let's make the toucan say something. So you would press down on the button, he would start singing and dancing around. And then the last one makes the you press the switch and it will make the rainbow light up. So yeah, that was pretty fun. Most of the toys we got, I either bought pre-switch adapted or the fan and the light, me and my dad actually switch adapt. All right, next one. And now I changed my mind. I don't want to show the last video, but I want to show something I'm really proud of making. This one is a stand and Scout knows what I'm talking about when I show this one, but I made this one with a PVC pipe, made a stand for it, and I'm making switches that go into a switch interface so you can control the iPad. There's probably something out there like it, but this one was just really exciting for me to work on, and I've already been like working on this for like 3+ hours.
Jessica, can you tell us a little bit more about what this does, how it works?
So it's a stand, and you can put your iPad in it. See if I have a better picture for you. So this is the stand, and you put the iPad in the stand, and then with the switches, you can plug them into the interface, which you can use. The one I have you can use on a phone, you can use on an iPad, and you can use on a computer. So I plug it into my iPad, and then you plug in the switches. So there's different modes on it. So like one mode would be like left arrow, right arrow, down, up, and click for using the mouse, and then they have ones for typing with like a space and enter and backspace. But this is the one that I chose that has the different modes, so you can move the mice around on it's not it's a cursor on the iPad that shows up when you plug in the switches, but you can use that to go around and click on things. So thank you for listening today. Does anybody have any questions? You can put them in the chat, I guess.
Jessica, we did have a request for you to go back to that board maker book idea. The QR code wasn't totally visible, and somebody wanted to grab that.
Let me get back to it.
I had also responded to that question with the link as well, in case somebody doesn't have access to the QR code, the link is in there as well.
Great. Yeah, we just can't quite, there it is. That's great. So if anybody wants to grab that, they can.
And whoever cut the wire that made the power go off, I'm pretty mad at, but
Well, we've been having a lot of storms in Missouri, so maybe it was just natural forces.
mm-hmm.
All right. I don't see any questions, but one of the things I wanted to point out is that on those switches that Jessica showed, and she was talking about the color of the background. So in an AAC device, the background colors mean different things. And so she's not just randomly putting color behind these, she's really helping kind of reinforce what the AAC device is helping kids learn. So I just think that's really cool that you're just being so thoughtful about all the pieces you're putting together.
You mean like the buttons that I did?
Yeah, when you had the fan and the toucan.
Yeah. That I pretty much based off of the colors that are on the board maker core board for that.
Right, right. But because you're so familiar with these things, of course, it's very kind of intuitive for you to do this. But for folks who don't have your background, you might just say, "Oh, I want to make this one yellow," or "I want to make this one blue," and for some kids that could be confusing. So it's just really great.
That's how it used to be with me. I think it's called the Fitzgerald system or something, but I still like have to look up like sometimes I know what the board maker colors like would be, but I notice it can be different like if you're on like Unity or like Symbol 6. I've never really seen like the color symbols with Symbol 6 as much, but like with Unity, Widget, in Board Maker, it can be a little different for each one. Like the color tones can be a little different. So
Right.
I've had trouble on my computer. Scout's gonna know this too, but I've been using Instagram AI sometimes to help me get the codes in Google Docs and Google Drive so I can make the colors as close as possible.
Right, and people could put, if people want to do this themselves, they can see what their person is using and follow that same kind of pattern. But I just wanted to point it out because I think some people don't really understand that. And Jessica, there is somebody asking for some of your communication boards. So would it be possible? Oh yeah, so they can just email you directly. So thank you. I was going to ask to
Tell me
put
or
your
reach
email
out
up
on Instagram. I usually respond pretty quickly on Instagram.
on Instagram. Okay. Yep. But you do check your email as well?
Obviously, yes, but
Okay, just making sure. All right. Um, we have somebody who said that they really enjoyed the presentation, but I don't see any more questions right now. If anybody has any more questions, feel free to pop them in the Q&A. But I am just really thankful that you could make time for this today. I know you've got a lot of things.
I didn't want to make time, but luckily I have cellular and I could just run. I was just running off a cellular on my phone for a while.
Well, it worked on our end, and we really appreciate your being able to switch quickly.
Scout, did you want to go ahead and show your other thing while I get my slides pulled up?
Sure, I just have a couple of things that I wanted to show. So if somebody is working with folks with communication deficits, there are these these are just little bracelets that can snap on, and this one says autism. So it's just a nice way to communicate that somebody could have trouble, having verbal communication if they get overwhelmed or if they just, don't have the verbal communication. So these come for all different kinds of needs. And then the other thing that I wanted to pop up are these are kind of great. They're just the snap bracelets. But again, it's just an easy way. Like if somebody's going out and you wanted to change what's on here, you can just get these plain ones and write on them. Or you could pop symbols on here that would be an easy way to communicate with somebody who may have questions about, what somebody's doing out, or if they do run into law enforcement or need some emergency help. So, these are just like really low-tech ways to help support folks with communication needs. All right, that's all I have. So Angelina, oh, we got one more.
Yes, someone just asked where you can get the bracelets from.
Oh boy, I will I don't remember where I found that. It is called a MediMates by, oh my gosh, that is so small. 1 second. It is called MediMates by Allermates. They also do like allergy stuff. It is a health alert wristband. So when the recording goes out, I can put the information out about those. And the slap bracelet, this one is by Toby Dynavox. The plain one, I mean, I would guess something like meditates, MediMates, MEDIMATES. I'm sorry, I can't type and speak. But the plain one, I would say you could probably get these, by the 500 from Oriental Trading, but I don't, they would just be something you might be able to buy on Amazon.
Somebody went ahead and put in the link to them in the Q&A, so I responded to it. So everyone should be able to see that in the Q&A as well now.
I don't see that.
Let me see if I can.
Thunder answered.
Yeah, I answered it, so it's in the other tab.
Oh, answered.
Yes.
Oh, okay, thank you. All right. All right.
All right, I will keep those questions up and I will get that link sent out when we send out the recording as well. Um, thank you again to Jessica and Scout both for presenting for us today. This was super great information, and Jessica, it's really cool to see what you're doing. These are the upcoming dates and topics for the benefit series and the technology series. June 12th is the next benefit series. It's going to be Medicaid and Medicare preventative services and benefits. And then we have the tech series, which is going to be June 26th on vehicle modifications. And then just some quick stuff. We also have the Missouri Family to Family Disability and Health Resource Center at IHD. This is their website. They've got some good life groups monthly that are interactive peer learning collaboratives. Those are really fun. Then we also have the CTLC and F2F quarterly stakeholder meetings. And if you're interested in learning more about the Charting the Life course that I talked about today, our website is lifecoursetools.org, and there are a bunch of different options on there for training workshops. And that is all I have for you today. If you would like to watch any of the previous mods, they're on our Charting the Life course YouTube, and there is our contact information. And thank you all for joining us today.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Jessica. It was great to have you. Good to see you.